That night in my apartment with only a soft amber lamp still on, I sat on the edge of my bed. I was 34, carrying a kind of exhaustion I didn't know how to name. I had just walked out of a relationship that looked right on paper. He was kind. He spoke well. He apologized at the right moments. But after every intimate night, my body felt drained while my mind kept whispering, "It's fine. This is healthy." My closest friend Emily, 32, was in love too. She was dating a man who spoke the language of healing fluently. Emotional safety, inner work, being present. He knew all the right words. And my Aunt Linda, almost 50, had been married for over 15 years. No roses, no couple photos on Instagram, no poetic captions. And yet her body had never had to brace itself to feel worthy in that marriage. 3 women, 3 ages, 3 ways of loving. And one strange thing in common. Our bodies always seemed to know something long before our minds were ready to believe it. That night, while cleaning my bookshelf, I accidentally knocked over an old storage box. Photos spilled onto the floor. There I was at 26, smiling brightly beside Jason, the man I once believed was the ideal guy. The image pulled me back to a crowded birthday party years ago. Loud music, low lights. Jason stood in the middle of the bar, microphone in hand, effortlessly becoming the center of attention. He pulled me close and kissed my forehead in front of everyone. People cheered. Someone shouted that we were couple goals. The night ended in his perfectly organized downtown apartment. Warm lighting, wine, music playing softly in the background. It felt cinematic. In the bedroom, Jason touched me with confidence. He led. He set the rhythm. He knew exactly what he was doing. All I had to do was respond at the right moments. Everything he did was technically perfect. So perfect that one thought kept repeating in my head. He's really good at this. When it was over, he wrapped his arms around me from behind and asked, "You okay?" I smiled and said, "Yeah, you're really good." But later that night, alone in my own bed, staring at the ceiling in the dark, I felt a thin layer of exhaustion spreading across my chest. If I had asked my body, "Are you okay?" I think it would have answered no, a lot sooner than my mind ever did. Years later, in a different room, smaller, quieter, no music, no wine. Just a dim orange bedside lamp and the sound of rain outside. I was with Daniel, a quiet man, a little awkward. It had taken us months to arrive in that room, not because he followed any rules, but because he kept asking, "Are you sure?" He didn't want to rush me. That night, when I finally said, "I think I'm ready," I saw him swallow hard. He smiled, half excited, half nervous. When he touched me, there was no effortless confidence like Jason's. His hands trembled slightly. He paused often. "Is this okay?" he asked. The pace was slow. There were long stretches of silence. Just rain against the window. Just our breathing. His eyes kept returning to my face, not to check whether I was performing desire well enough, but to see whether I was actually comfortable. For the first time in a long while, I wasn't thinking about how I looked under the light. I wasn't adjusting angles. I wasn't trying to make the right sounds. I was just there, with my breath, with the smell of rain, with the steady rhythm of my heartbeat, and with the feeling of my body being safe in the hands of a man who was still learning how to love carefully. When it ended, there was no dramatic soundtrack, no movie-style dialogue, just warmth under the sheets. Daniel laughed softly and said, "I'm kinda awkward, huh?" I laughed too. It felt easy. It wasn't the best night of my life, but it was warm, like a slow-burning fire that didn't blaze brightly and didn't go out either. That night, I didn't drive home feeling hollow. I didn't have to convince myself that everything had been fine. My body was quiet. Back in the present, after putting the photos away, I stepped onto my balcony. Below me, traffic flowed in slow lines of red and white. I thought about Jason. I thought about Daniel. I thought about how some nights felt grand and impressive, yet left me empty, and how others felt simple, almost ordinary, yet left my body at ease. I asked myself quietly, if all of this is called intimacy, why does one version exhaust me while another brings me peace? Right then, my phone buzzed. It was Emily. "Hey," she texted. "Are you free? I really need to talk. I'm kind of a mess." "Call me?" I replied. 15 minutes later, I was sitting at a small coffee shop beneath my building, holding my phone up during a video call. Emily's eyes were swollen. Her hair was pulled into a rushed bun. She told me about Mark, the man she had once been proud to call rare. Mark spoke fluently about healing, emotional safety, triggers, inner child work, boundaries. He sounded like every well-written self-help book combined into one person. Recently, Emily had noticed messages between him and his ex. Nothing explicitly inappropriate, but it unsettled her. She brought it up directly. Mark stayed calm. He looked her in the eyes and said all the right things. "I understand how this hurts you. I'm sorry I didn't set clearer boundaries. I'm here with you. We'll walk through this together." In that moment, Emily believed him. But 2 weeks later, something started to feel off. Every time Emily tried to move closer emotionally or physically, Mark would gently pull away. "I don't want to hurt you more. I think we should slow down so you can heal. I don't want to trigger anything for you." Every sentence sounded thoughtful, mature, conscious, exactly what a safe man was supposed to say. And yet Emily told me her body began to shut down. She pressed her hand against her chest and said, "I hear him." I nod. I tell him, "You're right." But every time I turn away, I feel like my body goes cold. Then she asked the question I'd asked myself years earlier. "Do you think I'm too sensitive? Do you think something is wrong with me? Like maybe I just don't know how to receive healthy love?" I recognized that look in her eyes immediately. It was the same look I used to see in my own reflection. A few days later, we met in person at a cafe near the park. Emily told me more. One night after things had seemed calmer, she held Mark a little tighter. He froze, then said softly, "I'm scared that if we go further right now, you'll feel like I'm using intimacy to cover up my mistake. If this were a movie, the audience might applaud." The line was perfect. But Emily's body went still. She said to me, "If I tell this story to anyone else, they'd probably tell me I'm lucky, that I should be grateful to have a man this emotionally aware. But I can't explain what it feels like when my body doesn't trust him anymore, and I feel guilty for not trusting him." That night, lying in bed with only my phone lighting up the ceiling, I scrolled past a Facebook memory. It was the 15th wedding anniversary of my Aunt Linda and her husband Tom. The photo showed them standing in front of their suburban home. White shirt, soft smiles, no roses, no decorations, no captions about soulmates. I stared at that photo for a long time and realized something quietly unsettling. She was the only woman I knew whose body always felt safe inside her relationship. That weekend, I decided to visit them. I drove out that morning. Long stretches of road, trees blurring past the windows. The kind of drive that slowly quiets your thoughts, whether you want it to or not. Linda and Tom lived in a modest house in a quiet suburb. Nothing fancy. A small porch, wind chimes by the door, the smell of dinner already drifting out when I arrived. After dinner, Tom gathered the plates and said casually, "You two go sit outside. I'll take care of this." Linda and I carried our tea to the porch. The air was cool. Crickets chirped. Somewhere a dog barked, then went quiet again. I asked her something I had never asked anyone out loud. "Have you ever felt uncomfortable in your body with Tom? Like you had to brace yourself?" She laughed softly, not defensively, just surprised. She told me that when she was younger, she was deeply insecure about her body. Small chest, short legs. After giving birth stretch marks across her stomach, she avoided mirrors. She wanted the lights off. She wanted to hide. One night, after she had healed enough postpartum, they showered together for the first time. She wrapped a towel tightly around herself. Tom came up behind her, wrapped his arms around her waist, looked at their reflection and said, "Well, you didn't get these for nothing." He patted her stomach lightly. "That's proof you did something real." Then he walked out completely serious, leaving her there not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Another time when she gained weight and joked that maybe he'd prefer someone thinner, Tom shrugged and said, "I married a wife, not a beauty pageant contestant. If we get out of shape, we'll take walks together. Why would I go look somewhere else?" It wasn't poetic, it wasn't refined, it wasn't emotionally articulate. But over more than a decade, he had never used her body as leverage, never joked at its expense, never compared it, never turned it into currency. Linda said something that stayed with me. "I've never once walked away from our bed feeling smaller than when I walked in." They had big fights, nights where they slept turned away from each other. But even then, Tom never used her body as a weapon, never withdrew affection to punish, never turned intimacy into power. She didn't have language for it. She didn't call it healing or safety or emotional intelligence. But in the way Tom refused to turn her body into a battleground, there was a kind of reverence that many modern relationships are missing entirely. That night back in my childhood bedroom, I opened an old message thread on my phone. A man who once told me, "Your body is way better than my ex's." At the time, I felt chosen. Victorious. Now the words glowed on my screen like a cheap neon sign. Bright, loud, cold. I remembered how after nights with him I would stand alone in the bathroom staring at my reflection, unsure whether I had just been loved or evaluated. I placed my phone on my chest and felt it clearly. The memory of having to prove I was worthy of being touched was still living in my body, not in my thoughts, but in my muscles and breath. On one side were compliments, rankings, comparisons. On the other was Tom's awkward sentence, "That's proof you did something real." My body knew exactly which one felt like respect. The next morning back in the city, I sat at my usual coffee shop and opened my notebook. I drew 3 columns: what they say, what they do during intimacy, where they are when life gets hard. Then I wrote names. One man spoke beautifully. His messages were long and thoughtful. But when things got heavy, he was always busy. Another tested and compared. When I stopped being bright, he disappeared. Then there was Daniel. Short messages, typos. "Text me when you get home. If you're tired, we can do it another day." When life got hard, he showed up quietly. In the corner, I wrote Tom's name. Plain words. Steady presence. If I counted promises, the list was long. If I counted presents, it was very short. I added one more column, not about them, but about me, where I ignored my body because the words sounded right, where I apologized to myself for doubting what I felt, where I dismissed quiet relationships because they didn't have enough drama to explain to my friends. As I closed the notebook, 3 images stayed with me. Linda on her porch, Emily in the cafe, and me walking through the city with a clearer body. 3 bodies, 1 realization. The body tells the truth long before the mind is ready to admit it. That afternoon, I watched people through the cafe window, a man snapping into his phone, and nearby, a middle-aged man stepping down first, then turning back to offer his hand to his wife. Nothing dramatic, just instinct. Commitment doesn't announce itself. It doesn't explain. It doesn't need language. It shows up in small, repeatable ways, in who stays when nothing is impressive, in who doesn't disappear when you're inconvenient, in who never turns your body into a bargaining chip. I looked at the names one last time and noticed where my body softened and where it had learned to brace. That was enough. If you've stayed with me this far, maybe a part of you has been there too, lying next to someone who checked every box but left you feeling smaller, trusting someone who spoke beautifully while your body slowly went numb, or witnessing a quiet relationship that didn't look exciting but felt strangely safe. I don't have a formula for you. I'm not here to tell you who to choose. I'm only offering a small compass. After intimacy, do you feel expanded or diminished? When you're tired and messy, does this person lean in or step away using the right words? Does your body feel respected or constantly measured? And when life gets heavy, where are they really? You don't need to answer anyone else. You don't need to justify what your body knows. If you've spent years asking your body to say yes when it was quietly saying no, that doesn't make you weak or broken. It just means no one taught you that your body carries a kind of intelligence too. This isn't about hating men. It's about stopping the habit of abandoning yourself. The next time someone says "I love you" or "I'm here for you," listen. But don't rush to believe. Watch how they touch you. Watch how they pause. Watch how they stay, especially when the rain starts. And then trust the part of you that already knows.